Over 80% of BRICKDAM police station destroyed by fire over the weekend. President Ali expresses his disappointment in the fire service's response. PARFAITH Harmony married couple left traumatized after bounded, beaten and robbed during a home break-in. Good fortune man lifeless body found during wedding reception. In the region, Ecuador disputes escalates over mining in indigenous areas. And US COVID vaccine, thousands to lose jobs as more employers made jobs mandatory. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. A blaze on Saturday midday, suspected to be arson, destroyed 80% of the BRICKDAM police station headquarters. The fire started in the eastern building of the BRICKDAM station and spread to several other, mainly wooden structures in the compound, despite the efforts of the members of the Guyana Fire Service to contain the blaze. When the fire was eventually brought under control, only the compound's western structure was salvaged. As investigations continue into the cause of the blaze, investigators managed to get a confession on video from a prisoner, 26-year-old Clarence Green, of Princess Street Lodge. Green, who was arrested earlier on Saturday morning and placed in the BRICKDAM lockups for an alleged robbery under arms, told investigators during his confession that his motive for starting the fire was due to him being detained for a couple of hours and he became frustrated. Two prisoners claimed that after the fire started and they were escorted to the Suriname police station and placed in the cell with Green, the duo said Green told them that he took a piece of sponge, wrapped it up on a piece of wire, which he lit. He pushed it through a ventilation hole in the cell over to a part that had some documents and it caught afire. Following his revelation, Green was then video interviewed and questioned by detectives, during which he confessed. Minister of Home Affairs Rupert Ben disclosed during a media briefing on Saturday that the government has already engaged its engineers to think about redesigning a temporary police headquarters.
Related to future building are already being considered by our engineers. We've already told them to think now about what we need in terms for a temporary location and in terms of a design for a new police headquarters building for 4A at BRICKDAM. I'm sure we all know the necessity for having durable, sustainable new headquarters on BRICKDAM at that location eventually. So that will be considered properly.
Minister Ben said the force is working to restore and relocate operations so that citizens can stay protected.
And with respect to the trial of the BRICKDAM police station, we have been making efforts to restore operations as quickly as possible to facilitate and support the Guyana police force to get its operations and the 4A Central Police Station building back into action.
Acting Commissioner of Police Nigel Hoppy said the division has immediately put in place systems to ensure the safety and security of the citizenry.
The loss, to say the least, is very severe. However, that will not deter us. We just want to share with the citizens of those, particularly Georgetown, that there should be no fear. The police have already put this system in place to ensure that we continue to control and ensure that peace and order prevail in the regional 4A.
All services for the division are presently being conducted at the St. Stanislaus College compound. His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali on Sunday morning assessed the readiness of the temporary police offices. The head of state commended the ranks of the Guyana Police Force for their efforts to ensure that there was no loss of service to the public amidst the destruction and devastation caused by the fire, which severely damaged the headquarters.
I want to thank the police force, the leadership of the police force, and the minister and his team for the efficient and quick way in which they organize themselves to have continuous service to the people. And that is all the service that the BRICKDAM police station offers. With such a huge crisis on their hands, we never lost the ability to deliver service from the station to the population. So I want to start by thanking all the ranks also who came out from the BRICKDAM police station, all the ranks, to assist in trying to save this investment, this building.
Dr. Ali said that his government will spare no efforts in investigating the circumstances surrounding the recent destruction of several public buildings by fire.
And I'm not going to take this lightly. I'm going to ask for international support to investigate, to follow any lead, and to ensure that our capital remains safe and stable. Now, as I said, the investigation for this fire is still ongoing, but I'm concerned. And I think out of concern, out of an abundance of caution, at this very early stage, we will not spare no effort in reaching out for international support.
President Ali expressed his disappointment with the Guyana Fire Service's response, despite the government's continuous effort to provide the service with the required tools for an efficient operation.
We have been making tremendous investment in the last year in the fire service, and I've made this very clear. In this country, people would have to be held accountable for their actions. We can't be making investment in state apparatus and state institutions and do not get the results from those investments. The response of the fire service was poor, at its best yesterday. And as president, I hope the fire service can acknowledge this, because if you can't acknowledge the problem, you can't deal with it. It upsets me, because Minister Ben would tell you the type of investment we're making, their state of readiness when they come on the scene. Many business people around the area called. They called me directly during the course of the fire, offering different support, including access and source of water. One of these man has an entire pool and a well that flows continuously. And the fire service was not in a position to make use of that offer. This lackadaisical approach, inefficient approach, an indifferent approach cannot continue.
The BRICKDAM police station is the third public building to be destroyed by fire within the last few months. In mid-June, the North Rheinfeld Multilateral Secondary School was partially destroyed by fire. It was followed by the Mabaruma Secondary School just under 2 weeks ago. A preliminary investigation by the Guyana Fire Service into the Mabaruma fire later revealed that the destruction was an act of arson. The head of state added that he already requested a list of all the people in the diaspora who have worked in senior positions within large cities in an attempt to retain their expertise and infuse it locally. However, investigations are ongoing. Don't go away after the break. A laborer's lifeless body found during wedding reception at Good Fortune, and PARFAITH Harmony home invasion, a married couple beaten and robbed.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold, and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on BRICKDAM and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Welcome back. A man's lifeless body was discovered in his Good Fortune flat when relatives noticed his residence was dark during a wedding event. Esther Sobers has the specifics.
Police are investigating the death of a laborer that took place in Good Fortune, West Bank Demerara, early Sunday morning. According to investigators, 34-year-old Ricky Prasad was discovered dead in his upper flat apartment at approximately 2:30 a.m. by his sister-in-law, a 30-year-old housewife of Wretch Dorsey, West Bank of Demerara. According to reports, the deceased sister-in-law, her husband, and other family were at Prasad's home in Good Fortune celebrating the deceased man's sister's wedding reception. The sister-in-law reported that there was a power outage, but when the power was restored to the neighborhood, she noticed that Prasad's apartment was still without power. When she and her husband turned on the apartment's light switch, they made a heartbreaking discovery of Prasad's lifeless body on the apartment floor. The police were contacted and Prasad's body was transported to West Demerara Regional Hospital, where he was officially pronounced dead. One person is presently in custody as police try to find out what circumstances led to the death of Ricky Prasad. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. A couple on the west bank of Demerara was awakened, gagged, and beaten in their homes during a break-in and robbery. Here again is Esther Sobers with more.
It's a scenario you heard about, but hope never happens to you. Being awakened by armed home intruders right in your bedroom. This was the circumstances that a couple encountered early Saturday morning in their PARFAITH Harmony on the west bank of Demerara. Two men armed with handguns and a cutlass allegedly broke into the couple's home between 3:45 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. and assaulted them, taking an undisclosed quantity of cash and jewelry with them. According to a police report, the couple, a 36-year-old man and his 30-year-old wife, retired to bed at 10 p.m. They were awakened about 3:45 a.m. by one of the suspects, who warned them not to move. The man was tied up and his mouth was covered with duct tape. The couple was tortured by one of the intruders, who used his gun to gun-butt the man on his head and struck the woman in the back of her head with a cutlass, demanding their valuables while the second suspect stood guard at the door. The intruders raided the couple's home before fleeing on foot. So far, no one has been identified as the perpetrator of the home invasion, as police continue to investigate. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Police are investigating a report of an alleged robbery under arms committed on two Venezuelan siblings at Buck Hall, Essequibo River on Sunday, October 3rd. Inquiries disclosed that the victims, 29-year-old Erickson Perelizier and 25-year-old Rica Perelizier, operates a grocery shop at the junction of the three trails leading into the interior. On Saturday, around 11:45 p.m., the victims closed up their shop. They retired to their rooms located in separate buildings on the land. Whilst in bed, the lights went out. Erica called out to Erickson to come out and check the lighting plant, to which he did. Erickson proceeded to the area where the lighting plant was and discovered that it was disconnected. He reconnected the light and proceeded to do a quick check around the compound to ensure that everything was in place. Seeing that nothing was amiss, he told Erica to lock up as he was going in. Erica was in the process of locking up her window when she was approached by one of three masked men armed with a gun. The suspect then held onto her hair and demanded that she open the window. On hearing the noise, Erickson investigated and observed two other suspects running behind him. He was caught tied up with a strap seal and his mouth duct taped. His sister Erica stated that the bandits held her at gunpoint, bounded her hands and feet with strap seal and duct taped her and demanded cash and jewelry. After robbing the siblings of over $500,000 in cash, phones, and jewelry, the gunmen escaped on foot in an unknown direction. Erica told investigators that she managed to free herself after the suspects got away, untying her brother too. The scene was photographed and processed. Investigators recovered 2 sets of duct tapes and 2 strap seals. Investigations continue. Don't go away after the break. US COVID vaccine. Thousands to lose jobs as more employers made jobs mandatory. And UK rejects uncontrolled immigration despite labor shortages. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Good girl forget things.
Who's the
problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Taxi service, transportation for every occasion, short drop, airport, weddings, funerals, and much more. We're located at Lot H. Durbin and Vicingen Road, next to Green City Bar. For honest, efficient, and reliable service, call Kingdom Based Taxi Service at 648-5959 or 227-7937. You can count on us.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. The Ecuadorian government is meeting indigenous leaders and rural community groups in a dispute over the future of the country's mining industry, a dispute that will resonate throughout the continent. The government and the mining industry says clean and responsible exploitation of Ecuador's mineral wealth is essential to boost an ailing economy. Al Jazeera's Daniel Schrimler reports.
The idyllic town of La Merced de Buenos Aires, high in the Andes Mountains, has become a battleground, the flashpoint between those who want to exploit its nearby gold and copper reserves and those who want to maintain a way of life unchanged for generations.
We don't want legal or illegal mining because of the environmental damage they cause. We've survived for a long time without gold, without mining. We live from the food we produce.
They know about illegal mining. Thousands of illegal miners invaded this territory in search of gold, leaving behind massive devastation when government forces evicted them 2 years ago. Now bigger, legal mining concerns want to exploit the copper reserves they believe are here, providing jobs and much-needed foreign income.
There are people who were previously working in illegal mining who are now disguised as environmentalists who don't want to give all of us the chance to work.
The situation has become complicated. Some local people do welcome Hamrine Exploration and Mining, the Ecuadorian subsidiary of the Australian company Hancock Prospecting. Many more do not, accusing the government of applying laws that have silenced their protests.
Unfortunately, there's been a systematic persecution of all the defenders of this land. When we raised our voices about the reality of what was happening, that we're being invaded by multinational companies, they denounced us with the only intention of silencing and intimidating us.
These local residents have the support of many of Ecuador's indigenous communities. It's a situation also being watched across Latin America, where similar disputes are playing out. And in the global arena, with the COP26 climate change conference opening in a few weeks' time in Glasgow.
To devastate this territory would only feed climate change, which is why the Indigenous movement and the farming sectors have decided to defend life and not contribute to polluting the environment.
Hanrine says it's not responsible for the damage caused by illegal mining, and that violent anti-mining protesters have prevented them from presenting their clean, socially responsible proposals to the people of this community.
I believe the context is how to enforce governments with a strong arm control for the companies to do the mining exploitation and the mining exploration process in the most friendly environmental way and the most reasonable social manner.
The Ecuadorian government insists it must exploit its mining potential to create jobs and income, to help its battered economy emerge from the pandemic. Opponents say mining will bring only pollution and misery. They say they'll take to the streets if they don't reach agreement in talks with the government, in a conflict that could have repercussions far beyond this small rural community. Daniel Schweimler, Al Jazeera.
California became the first state on Monday to require shots against the virus to attend school, and more U.S. businesses are asking for their workers to get inoculated against the COVID-19 before attending work in person. But some employees are saying these mandates are a violation of their constitutional rights. Al Jazeera's Christian Salumi reports.
Healthcare workers were among the first to be offered vaccines in the United States, and many consider it a privilege as well as a responsibility.
I believe, the mandate is a good idea. I think people should get vaccinated.
But now it's no longer a choice. In New York, it is a state and soon to be federal requirement in the medical field.
Yeah, I think everybody should get mandate, I don't care. Forget them. If they want to get fired, let them get fired.
Here at Erie County Medical Center in Buffalo, New York, more than 95% of the staff are compliant, but the rest have been placed on unpaid leave, and the hospital has had to cut back on some procedures.
I mean, overall, it's going to affect the people that need the help. It's going to affect the patients and the people that are sick in the nursing homes that are going to be understaffed. A lot of surgeries that are being canceled, so it's the patients that are being affected by it more than anybody else.
To ease staffing concerns, New York's governor has signed an executive order loosening restrictions on who can work in certain positions. But she's defending the mandate, which will also affect teachers.
Can't we just say that that is a basic right that everyone has to know that they'll be safe when they enter a healthcare facility, or you have your elderly parents or grandparents in a nursing home, that they will not get sick because of someone who's charged with their care?
Still, physician's assistant Deborah Conrad says she's been safely serving on the front lines of the pandemic without the vaccine and would rather lose the job she's held for nearly 2 decades than be forced to comply. She says she wants to see more long-term studies on vaccine side effects.
I have all my childhood vaccines, my updated vaccines, my children have their vaccines. Just because I'm questioning this one, which is a new technology for a new virus, doesn't make me an anti-vaccine person. It just makes me somebody that wants informed consent.
The state of New York actually has one of the highest vaccination rates in the country. So if there are compliance and staffing issues here, the question is, what will that mean for the rest of the country, where there's more vaccine resistance and mandates from the federal government have yet to go into effect?
Even before President Joe Biden mandated shots for businesses with more than 100 workers, however, dozens of high-profile companies, from United Airlines to Disney, had already begun insisting their workers get vaccinated. The federal mandates alone will cover as many as 100 million Americans, and if they achieve their goal, ensure there are enough healthy people available to fill any vacancies. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, Buffalo, New York.
And internationally, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has insisted that the UK's ongoing crisis over petrol shortages and rising costs are part of an adjustment period, but anti-austerity protesters warn that the rise in the cost of living are threatening to undermine all that. Al Jazeera's Paul Brennan reports.
Dodging the Manchester rain showers and the heckling of protesters outside the security perimeter, the British Prime Minister would be forgiven for feeling besieged by circumstance at the moment. But Boris Johnson is not a self-doubting kind of person. The ongoing queues at the UK's petrol pumps he dismissed as being largely driven by demand rather than a chronic shortage of delivery drivers. And he insisted the UK's labour shortages would not be solved by pulling what he described as the big lever-marked uncontrolled immigration.
When people voted for change in 2016 and when people voted for change again in 2019, as they did, they voted for the end of a broken model of the UK economy that relied on low wages and low skill and chronic low productivity. And we're moving away from that.
The concept of levelling up is a major theme of this conference and this government. The drive for equality of opportunity, regardless of background or income, and a redistribution of investment and infrastructure spending to the regions. But paying for that involves cutting social benefits and increasing taxes. And several thousand anti-austerity protesters made their concerns heard as they marched past the conference venue.
Well, basically, this Conservative government are driving people into poverty at the moment. They've taken millions of people off furlough, they're cutting benefits, and they're driving down wages, terms and conditions of working people in this country.
At the heart of Boris Johnson's argument to the conference and to the wider public is the principle of jam tomorrow. Yes, there will be shortages at the petrol pumps. There may even be shortages on supermarket shelves leading up to the crucial Christmas period. But he says the UK is in a transition period where it's moving to a higher wage, higher skill economy. And he says the benefits will soon come.
There are doubts, even among his Conservative colleagues, about the strong likelihood that more tax rises may be needed to pay for all this. In the 2019 election, Johnson's party made spectacular gains in Manchester and the north of England. The question is whether he can win them over again when he gives his keynote conference speech on Wednesday. Paul Brennan, Al Jazeera, Manchester.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, take care of yourself and each other.